How do you divide multi-digit numbers?
Hello, my family's going bowling today. There are an awful lot of bowling balls in the alley, more than usual. There are even some brand new ones over there being put in the ball returns. They were just shipped yesterday. I wonder how many bowling balls the alley ordered. See if there's still a packing slip on them. Whoa! It looks like they ordered 72 new bowling balls, and the total weight of all those bowling balls was 1,152 pounds. Wow! That's really heavy. I wonder, if each of the bowling balls weighs the same amount, how much does one bowling ball weigh? This looks like a division problem to me. Let's go find out more about dividing multi-digit numbers.
When you watch a cartoon, the frames of a film seem to blend together to form a moving image. Let's unlock this problem. To unlock this problem, you will divide 2,256 by 94. First, let's estimate the quotient using compatible numbers. What's a compatible number for 2,256? $2,300. What's a compatible number for 94? 100. So an estimate is 2,300 divided by 100. What does that equal? 23. Now you can solve for the exact quotient. First, divide the tens. You can use your estimate to help you place the first digit. Since the first digit in the estimate is a 2 in the tens place, you can place a 2 in the tens place of the quotient. Now multiply the two tens in the quotient by 94. The product of two tens and 94 is 188 tens. What's the difference between 225 tens and 188 tens? 37 tens. Next, regroup any tens left as ones. Now you can divide the ones. What is the quotient of 376 ones divided by 94? Let's try 4 ones. What is the product of 4 ones and 94? The product of 4 ones and 94 is 376 ones. The difference between 376 ones and 376 ones is 0 ones, so there is no remainder. The quotient is 24. Now let's check the answer by comparing to the estimate. Since the estimate, 23, is close to 24, so you see 24 frames each second when you watch a cartoon. Now let's look at another example of division. Let's divide 14,855 by 21. First, estimate using compatible numbers. 14,855 is close to 15,000, and 21 is close to 20. So an estimate using compatible numbers is 15,000 divided by 20. What does that equal? 750. Now let's solve for the exact quotient. First, divide the hundreds. You can use your estimate to help you place the first digit. 21 divides into 148 hundreds 7 times. So show a 7 in the hundreds place of the quotient. The product of 7 hundreds and 21 is 147 hundreds. What's the difference between 148 hundreds and 147 hundreds? 100. Next, regroup any hundreds left as tens. Now you have 15 tens. 15 tens cannot be shared among 21 groups, so place a 0 in the tens place of the quotient. Regroup the tens as ones. Now you have 155 ones. How many times does 21 divide into 155 ones? Let's try 7 times. So show 7 in the ones place of the quotient. The product of 7 ones and 21 is 147 ones. If you subtract 147 ones from 155 ones, you will have 8 ones left over. So the remainder is 8. How can you write this remainder? There are 2 different ways to write the remainder. The first is to place an R after the quotient and show the remainder after the R. So the answer is 707, remainder 8. The second way to write this is to write the remainder as a fraction. Write the remainder over the divisor and simplify if possible. So the answer is 707 and 8/21. Now that you have your answer, how will you know it is correct? You can check your answer by multiplying the whole number part of the quotient, 707, by the divisor, 21, and adding the remainder, 8. The product of 707 and 21 is 14,847. The sum of the product and the remainder, 8, is 14,855. So, your answer checks. Let's solve a division problem with multi-digit numbers. We're going to estimate and then find 11,886 divided by 24. First, let's estimate. What is a good estimate of the quotient of 11,886 and 24? A more reasonable estimate would be 480. Use compatible numbers to estimate. A compatible number for 11,886 is 12,000, and a compatible number for 24 is 25. The quotient of 12,000 and 25 is 480. Let's set up the problem for long division. Where should you place each number? Drag the numbers into the correct places. Nice work! This problem reads 11,886 divided by 24. Now you can solve for the quotient. First, divide the hundreds. You can use your estimate to help you place the first digit. Type your answer. That's right. The quotient of 118 hundreds and 24 is 4 hundreds. Multiply the 4 hundreds in the quotient by 24. Type your answer. That's right. The product of 4 hundreds and 24 is 96 hundreds. Now, the difference between 118 hundreds and 96 hundreds is 22 hundreds. Regroup any hundreds left as tens. Now you have 228 tens. Now you can divide the tens. Type your answer. Correct. The quotient of 228 tens and 24 is 9 tens. Find the product of 9 tens and 24. Type your answer. Actually, the product of 9 tens and 24 is 216 tens. The difference between 228 tens and 216 tens is 12 tens. Regroup any tens left as ones. Now you have 126 ones. Now you can divide the ones. Type your answer. That's right. The quotient of 126 ones and 24 is 5 ones. You have a couple more steps. Show the product of the ones digit in the quotient and 24. Type your answer. Great! The product of 5 ones and 24 is 120 ones. If you subtract 120 ones from 126 ones, you will have 6 ones left over. Now, type the remainder. That's right. The remainder is 6. There's another way to write the remainder, which shows the remainder as a fraction in simplest form. The correct answer is 1/4. So the estimate, 480, and the actual answer, 495 remainder 6, or 495 and 1/4, are very close. So you can say that this answer is reasonable. Now let's practice with the personal math trainer.
turbulent. Oh, hi, sorry, it's playing with my little plane, which actually reminds me of an interesting math question that involves actually a plane. This is actually about an airline where they actually fly from Houston to Chicago. Let's take a look at it together and see if we can have some fun thinking about the math. Here we go. So this airline carries about 750 passengers from Houston to Chicago each day. The question is, how many McDonnell Douglas MD-90 jets would be needed to carry that many passengers? And then how many empty seats would there be? Well, this seems like a really tricky question until we see this great chart, which shows us lots of different types of planes and how many seats we actually have on each plane. So if we're looking for the MD-90s, we see we have 160. So this table tells us that we have 160 seats on each one of these planes. The question is, how many planes do we need in order to carry the 750 passengers? So this is really a question about division. We want to take 750 and divide by 160. That's going to tell us how many planes we need. So before we actually perform this division, we can actually estimate to get a rough sense of how many planes we might need. And how would we do that? Well, one way to do it is just to estimate, and so let's find a compatible number. So let's find a number that's compatible to 750 that's near 160. And if you think about it a little teeny bit, it turns out that a good compatible number would in fact be 150. Because 750 divided by 150, that one's not too bad. If we work that out, we'd see that we get a quotient of 5. So what that means is that 5 is our estimate. It means that we would estimate that we're going to need around 5 airplanes. But now let's make that precise. Let's be really precise and see what the actual answer is by actually performing the actual division at hand. So here we go. We're going to do this live. So we're going to take 750 and we're going to divide it. I love making this little symbol by 160. And so here we go. Well, 160 divides into 750 4 times. And what is 160 times 4? Well, that's 640. And now remember, the rule is to subtract. And if we subtract, we see 110, which notice is smaller than 160, which is good. And actually, that is the remainder. And so what we see is the answer here is we get a quotient of 4 with a remainder of 110. So that's the answer. The question is, what does it mean? Well, what it means is that we need 4 planes. We need 4 planes that will be totally filled, right, with 160 seats, all filled. But then we have an extra 110 passengers left. So what do we need? It means we actually need a 5th plane. We need a 5th plane. So we need a 5th plane. And so here's what we've got so far. We'll need to have 5 jets to carry the 750 passengers. 4 of them are going to be filled to capacity, and the 5th one is going to carry the extra 110 remaining passengers, hence the remainder. Now, there was a little bonus to this question. Remember what it was? It asked, how many empty seats would there be? You know, here's a great wrong answer. A great wrong answer to say, oh, well, it's the leftover. It's 110. That's what they want us to say. But we got to think through. Those are the remaining people that need seats on that 5th jet. So that means that that jet holds 160 passengers. We're only going to put in 110 passengers. So how many seats are empty on that fifth flight? Well, let's think about it together. We've got 160 seats. We're going to use up 110 of them for the remaining passengers. So now I have to subtract, and when I subtract, what do I see? I see a difference of 50. So in fact, 50 is the number of empty seats we're going to have on that fifth flight. So very sneaky. Okay, but let's not take off from this question quite yet, because I want us to ask, is our answer reasonable? Well, the great thing is that we actually took that little moment to find an estimate at the very, very beginning when we started thinking about this together. And now, let's see if that estimate is, in fact, reasonable with our answer. Well, remember, we estimated, by finding a compatible number of 150, that we would need 5 jets. And what do we see now? Well, now we see, in fact, we need 4 full jets and then a 5th jet that's partially full, not totally full. So, in fact, we do need 5 jets, and that's exactly what our estimate was. And what we see is that the reason why it wasn't exact was because we didn't totally fill up that 5th jet. So while the answer actually turned out to be correct, we know it's not 5 full jets, it's 4 full jets, and then a portion of the 5th jet. And so this actually was a really, really good estimate to the actual answer. Well, the important thing here is that by thinking about what the question is asking and the information that we have, we are able together to figure out what operations we need to actually use, in this case, division and then subtraction, to be really careful that we're answering the right question when they asked us how many seats were actually going to be empty. It wasn't the 110 remaining passengers, it was the stuff left over, which we saw was 50. But by thinking through the questions and by thinking about the math, we are always ready to take off to the next math challenge. Have fun thinking about math, and I'll see you soon.
Now try your homework on your own with the Personal Math Trainer. It includes the exercise you saw at the beginning of the lesson.